All right, guys. Hey, thanks for joining me today. Everybody's curious how the farm show went. It went fantastic. It went really, really well. NRCS and water quality did a fantastic job. Sustainable Farmers Association did a fantastic job. The university, everybody that was involved in just kind of helping organize and advertise and just get this thing together, I can't thank them enough. Everything was awesome. My mom and dad did a fantastic job on making bratwurst. Man, I'll tell you, you ask the people that were there, that them brats were worth the drive from South Dakota. So thanks to Grand Champion Meat for making just a beautiful bratwurst, and they're so good. They're so good. But anyhow, how did the show go? It was, off the chain, off the hook. I don't know whatever you say nowadays. It was just fantastic. It was just great, down to earth, good basic information. And so we started the morning. About 65 people, well, not about, pretty much 65 people showed up, and it was just great. Jay Furhur opened the morning. I did not get to record it. I started recording Jay, was having camera troubles, and the backup camera also had some troubles. We don't need to go there right now. But after the show, YouTube sensation Rick Bork and Midwest Alice Akers were there, and Rick's like, well, why didn't you say something? I had all my equipment in my truck. And I'm like, I never even thought of bugging you about it. But no, and so that kind of sucks, because we could have had a lot of fun camera time. But anyhow, Jay Furhur opened the day. Just a fantastic, I got just a couple minutes of video on him before I started having too much trouble. Just a fantastic, about a 45-minute presentation on just how do plants put carbon in the ground, how do we harvest carbon out of the ground, how that whole just soil structure and things like that, and life in and out of the soil, and the different things of how plants work. And it's just a great down-the-earth, not way too in-depth science-y. It was just good material that a guy could take home. I mean, after his speech, it's like, oh, well then this is working, or that can work, or whatever. You know what I mean? You're just like, yeah, we've got this. And so then after him, we walked up and looked at the rye and soybean field and everything that's going on there. So then I explained everything that I'm trying in the field. And since I didn't get stuff on videotape, I will go back to each station this fall as we do the harvesting, and make a video of each station. So don't worry. It will get there. It'll get there. We'll get it out onto the social media and get it out there. But anyhow, we went back there. I explained what I'm doing, what I'm seeing, what are the side effects of this, the positive side effects that we're seeing, and some of the challenges that we've got to overcome for next year. And then Jay Furhur stuck his shovel in the ground, pulled it up, and we talked about infiltration and the ability of the soil to carry equipment and cattle, and the reduced runoff and drought, starting to build drought tolerance on our fields, and the fact that come May 1st, this field was ready to plant. The soil was fit to plant. The only reason we couldn't is because for the whole month of May, we still had freezing overnight temps, and our seedlings don't do very good. Seeds don't do very good in them type of conditions. And so we just had to wait. So the soil was fit and ready to go, and that's all part of the cover crops and the soil health. And so then Anne-Marie Journey, the entomologist from the U, then she kind of talked to us. There were some earthworms right there, and she kind of explained the different breeds of earthworms and their different jobs. Some are deep, some are shallow, big, small, blah, 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 blah. And so that was super cool. Then we walked down to the cornfield and we looked at the 15-inch corn. I have no idea where to go with 15-inch corn. To me, that's not a really good future for me, because there's nothing I can do with 15-inch corn. But maybe I'll try some 15-inch corn with covers. The covers, even though I don't know, maybe it'll still be something great for grazing. Maybe 15-inch would be a great grazing corn. I don't know. But and then we looked at the nitrogen study going on of that there, and had some good discussions there about cash flow and yield. You know, we no longer talk about yield. Yield is not a indicator of success anymore. And I think as you hear all these other farmers and magazines and articles and stories and all these other farm presenters, if they're still talking in terms of yield as being an indicator, get up and leave and ask for your money back, because they're clearly missing the whole point. They're just talking dumb. So we talked about how yield is not an indicator anymore, that it's dollars in your pocket. Plain and simple, dollars in your pocket is the indicator of success off an acre. Then we went across the road to continue that theme. We looked at the 55,000 soybeans. I was nervous because I didn't think anybody would be interested in that. But boy, I'll tell you, there was a lot of conversation out there. Yeah, that was one of the first times for the summer that I really been out there to look at it, and it looks good. At 55,000, I guarantee you 65 people showed up, probably 55 of them grow soybeans. I guarantee you next year 55 farms will have one pass somewhere on their farm of 100,000 or less instead of the regular 160,000. And so yeah, that was very encouraging to continue that low soybean population test. And then from there we just walked down the road back to the tent, had lunch. Fantastic lunch. I already mentioned the lunch. Fantastic lunch. And Ma served up some good brats there, and NRCS and everybody, the water quality, they had some good fixings to go with it. And then after lunch, Anne-Marie Journey, she gave a good presentation on bugs. Just corn rootworm, soybean aphids, and like cutworms and nematodes and wireworms, and then some identification of some other common bugs we have around here, and then just kind of a presentation of just bugs in general, the life cycles and how insects, how their world kind of works and how it interacts with ours, and our different practices and things like that. And so that was super cool. We'll have her back next year, guaranteed. We'll have her get on the books for a schedule. But then we went over, and Kristen, Brennin, and Mike did a fantastic job on the rain simulator. That one kind of blew my mind. There was one spot that one of the pans I seen the label to it, I'm like, that's the winner. And then the other pan, I didn't know where they got that other pan from. And so under the cover crops and the no-till, and then plain no-till and conventional till, they all were pretty equal. Dirty water out front, very little water underneath them. And then this one pan had 0 drops come off the front. 100% of the water went right through the profile, and it was clean water underneath it. And I asked where that came from, and they said over by that east road. And I said, well, that's funny, because just at the last presentation we talked about how that over on the east road failed the water infiltration. Not that it had low infiltration, it had 0 infiltration. Like after several hours they gave up letting that water sit there because it wasn't moving into the soil. And so you had a field that had a multi-species cover crop just sitting idle for 3 months. You know, May, June, July, August. So 4 months that field just sat idle and let crops just, the biology just do its thing. Plants grow, soil gets healed, and unbelievable how good that soil looked. We cut it apart, we dropped it on the ground, and just really analyzed it compared to the other soils. And okay, I'm hooked. And so then from there we went out to the 60-inch corn and had Troy Salzer from the U and Kent Soldberg from SFA. and they gave a fantastic presentation, and then that's where Edd Eulenkamp got to step in from Central Lakes College as Farm Business Manager program, and the three of them had a great presentation about cash flows and cattle and cover crops and just trying to be efficient on your farm. And we got to look at the 60-inch corn and talk about the value there, you know, and all this other stuff. And then with this, I put the all-in-one out there just so we could have a beef quality handling assurance kind of talk of, you know, it's 2020. Basically, we don't need to be out there with pitchforks and whips. We can simply do it with some fiberglass rods and some rattle paddles and just redirect. And once they're in the system, safety for the cattle and for the human. And yeah, it was fantastic. It was fantastic. Bryce made it all the way from South Dakota, so he gets the longest traveled award for traveled the furthest. And a couple people from Ziegler showed up. Jennifer, the cattle gal, and Pierre. You see Pierre and Rudy, they always comment below. They got some rye and corn things going, and yeah, it's just, I'll break it all down into some videos here throughout the fall, and try and reiterate things that I learned from Jay, and things we talked about into some smaller sessions. So we're already making plans for next year, probably around that third week of August to the end of August, somewhere around there. So we're going to do it again with some improvements. And so yeah, fantastic day. So for everybody that showed up, thank you. I appreciate it. And it was just, you guys made it. We had a great crowd too. You know, most of these farm shows, everybody just sits there and nobody says a word. And Tim with a brim and his brother Tom were just absolutely lively. They would have got the door prize for most active participants. But I mean, the whole crowd all together, great questions, good interaction, a lot of side conversations, and that's what the whole thing is about, for farmers to network and talk to each other and figuring this kind of stuff out. And so yeah, guys, I'll end it right there. But hey, thank you very much for watching today, and for the folks that came to the show, thank you very much. And yeah,